So sometimes the story behind the story is just, if not more interesting, which is fitting for our next guest. She gives us the backstory of every single book every time she comes on the show. Vikki Vansickle is here this morning, but this time she's not telling us about other people's stories. She's telling us about her. She's got a brand new novel out that's very loosely based on her own experience at summer camp, and she's in studio to share. Congratulations on this beautiful book, Vikki.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled.
Okay, so I mentioned off the top the story behind the story. So
Yes.
I'd love for you, if you're willing, to
Sure.
share with our viewers the backstory of how the Lightning Circle came to be.
Sure. So The Lightning Circle is technically my 11th published book, but it's the first novel that I ever wrote or finished. So I was doing my master's in children's literature. I was studying this form called verse novels, which is basically a novel that's written in a series of poems instead of paragraphs of prose. And as I was studying them, I thought, I think I could do this. I would like to do this. And I'd been a camp counselor, and I loved camp. And camp was very hard to write about in novel form because camp is very much a series of moments. Yes,
A
there
series
I am
of moments. Here's a moment. Where are you?
I'm in the front.
You are.
I'm not wearing my glasses.
Oh,
I was very
that's why
into
you look so
contact
different.
lenses. But so camp is a series of moments, and poems are a series of moments. So I started to write it that way. I sent it out to a lot of publishers. I got a lot of very nice rejections. One of the editors who rejected it actually picked up my first book eventually, so that's how I met her. I had an agent for a while. They really liked it, but said, oh, it's a bit quiet. It's not what the market wants, so I put it aside. I came back to it. I reimagined it with art. The girl in the book whose story it is an art counselor, and so I'm like, what if there was art involved? So I sort of reimagined it, and then basically 16 years later, here it is, my 11th book, 16 years in the making, or 20 years in the making if you add in all the camp.
Oh my gosh. Vikki, this is one of those things where it's like, just because it got a no the first time doesn't mean it's worth just throwing away.
And I say that to anybody, especially if you're in the arts, like no really means not for me, for the person who's reading it or seeing you audition or whatever it is. And you need to find the right people and the right timing, and this is testament to that.
So you talked about summer camp. I love camp. I've talked about it on the show. Like, I'm a big camp girl. What is the story about?
So the story is about a girl named Nora. She's never been a counselor before, but she's just had a pretty bad heartbreak. So she decides, I'm gonna go away. I'm gonna go to this camp in the woods. I'm gonna be a different person. And the summer is very transformative for her. So it's about meeting new people, meeting new versions of yourself, learning to care for younger kids, but also learning to care for yourself. And I had the most wonderful experience as a counselor. I kept thinking camp is about the kids, and it is, but it's also about the staff. And so I really wanted to capture that. A lot of camp books are really fun and lighthearted, but for me, camp was magical, like magical and transformative and all about friendship and myself and learning. And I wanted to capture that. There were some fun parts in it as well, but I really was hoping that people who've been to camp or have never been to camp understand what it is now.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know.
Oh my God, everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, it was magical. It really was. So you have some other books with us as well.
Yes.
These are the books that the journals
These
that
are
you
my
had at camp.
journals, like
What was it
really
like?
intense.
What was it like, Vikki, reading these back?
Excruciating, mostly. There's one here where I used to, so you can see I've put a friendship bracelet.
Oh my God, you did.
I did. So someone had given me this friendship bracelet and it wasn't big enough. And these are the song, my camp song, Friendship True.
Friendship
So yeah, they're really excruciating in parts because I try really hard in my diaries to be as honest as possible. But some of them were really, like I remember like thinking at camp, it really made me into a writer. I'd been in theater before, but I remember thinking this feels like a book. This feels like a book. I want to write about it. Or I would write little character sketches of people I met or lines that people gave me. The story of the Lightning Circle, which is a poem that became the title of the book, is a real story that I was told. And I just thought, even hearing it, I'm like, I can't believe that's not a book. And so I put it in one.
You put it in one. And
Yes.
what's really cool is it's written in poetry. It's written in prose, which is having a huge moment right now. One of the biggest songwriters of our generation writes in prose. For you, why did you want to do the book like that?
For me, it is because two reasons. One, again, prose is all about forward momentum, but poetry makes you live in a moment. It's a moment, it makes you think, it's more experiential, and I wanted that feeling because that's what camp feels like. And then there are a lot more verse novels for kids and teens because they're not as intimidating. I think people hear the word poetry and think, ooh, literary, I can't get in there. But in fact, there's more white space on the page. You have a moment to reflect as you turn the page. But so for someone who's not necessarily a poetry reader or thinks they are, it's actually quite easy to get into and very accessible.
Well, this book, that's everything it is, Vikki. It is so good. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.